And the opposition's joint presidential candidate Yashwant Sinha has filed his nomination today in the presence of tall leaders of the opposition. Ahead of this heated-up presidential election, I'm joined by Mr. Sinha himself speaking with us today. Mr. Sinha, thank you so much for speaking with us here on Mirror Now. My first question to you, is this truly going to be a contest or a symbolic fight, considering the candidate that the NDA has put across in the form of Draupadi Murmu, a woman?
There are a number of opposition parties which are going to vote for me. And you saw the strength of the opposition parties today when I filed my nomination papers. So therefore, we are in the fight, and if the media has already come to the conclusion, you have come to the conclusion that there is no contest, then in future we should all elections should be decided by the media and not by the people.
No, Mr. Sinha, let me reiterate my point. Of course, some opposition parties have already said that they are going to be, voting for Ms. Murmu. And the question is not whether we've decided or not. I'm specifically asking you what you think the outcome will be. Is this a symbolic fight where you aim to win, or is this going to be a true electoral contest?
I would not. It is going to be a major fight. I'm going into it with all guns blazing. There is absolutely no question of being dispirited about it, being disappointed about it. So therefore, as far as the numbers are concerned, let me assure you that numbers will change between now and the 18th.
The reason perhaps why a lot of the media and analysts are saying that it's going to be a tough fight for you is because of the other contestant, as I mentioned. In this case, a woman, a tribal leader, a former governor. And very often the position of president and the decision of who the candidate is to make a representation symbolically, one that is representative of these communities. Is that going to be a tough challenge for you, sir?
Is there any provision in our constitution which says that the president position will be representative of a community? In that case, the president's post will be reserved from time to time from one community or another community. This is a completely bogus argument, and I don't buy it.
Sir, if you do win this election and are president, what do you aim to do? The reason I ask this is because the president's powers are gubernatorial in nature. There are many limitations to what you can actually do constitutionally. So what's the end aim here?
The president's powers and functions have been well defined in our constitution. And the President of India should discharge those constitutional responsibilities. I am aware, you are aware, the whole country is aware of various periods in our country where the President of India has failed to exercise those constitutional powers. Our system is based on checks and balances, and the President is part of that system of checks and balances. He is also a check on the excesses of the executive. So therefore, his role is very important until the president, he or she, decides to become a rubber stamp president.
Sir, I wouldn't want to use the term rubber stamp, but traditionally across all dispensations, NDA 1, UPA, NDA 2, that has been largely the role of the president. They have to take advice from the Council of Ministers led by the Prime Minister. They are bound by that advice. Hence, I'm going to ask that question again. How would you do things differently? Because wouldn't you also be bound by those same rules if you were to become president?
The president has very well defined responsibilities. I told you Please go and study the constitution. He is bound by the advice of the Council of Ministers. But equally, he is also entitled to advise the executive, tell the executive what and how they should behave and what they should do as far as welfare of the people of this country is concerned. The President has the right to advise the government. The President has the right to approach the Supreme Court of India and get an advisory opinion on important issues. The President fails to exercise his rights, then it is another matter. Then he becomes a rubber stamp president. But the President, if he does not want to be a rubber stamp, he has a lot to do in our system.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sinha, for speaking with us today. Mr. Sinha, they're not conceding any kind of defeat, even though opposition parties like the YSRCP, the Biju Janata Dal and reportedly the JMM also want to vote for Draupadi Murmu. Before these confirmations or these calls for support, the NDA has about 48% of the vote. But Mr. Sinha says he is going to go all guns blazing in the fight over the next few days.